worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. I am Jaime En Fuego, here to cordially welcome you to Enfuegotainment. That's right, my namesake program here on the YouTubies, the interwebs, and we are down to the last two selections on my Oscar Best Picture 2019 countdown, where I have gone from number 8 and I am very close to my number 1. So at 8, I had Bohemian Rhapsody. At 7, I had Vice. At 6, I had The Favorite. At 5, I had Black Panther. At 4, we had Roma. At 3, we had A Star Is Born. And now at number 2, we are at none other than the just archer extraordinaire and just badass brother Spike Lee's film BlackKklansman. Yeah, there's 3 Ks in there. Crazy, right? Yeah, I know. But hey, Spike Lee is anything anything but controversial. Yeah, no, dude is awesome, man. And I mean, everybody points to Do the Right Thing, but I think Crooklyn's tremendous. And it's funny because he shifted into, I think in some ways, doing more like, I mean, in the 90s, Malcolm X was great. He Got Game, Jesus Shuttlesworth, yo, Mr. Ray Allen. I really dig the hell out of that film, and that came as I was just falling more and more in love with basketball as I was growing up, and you know, Hoop Dreams came out about that time and stuff too, which was a terrific documentary. But I mean, it's funny because as we segued into the 2000s, Spike's stuff was getting, it was like there was the 2 very polarizing camps of his creativity. You know, he was doing stuff like the Old Boy remake and, you know, Inside Man, which was very commercial, very, I hate to say it, vanilla fare, you know, me being a gringo and all. But then he was doing really super weird shizzle, in my opinion, like She Hate Me, where dude's impregnating the lesbians, and it's, oh boy, it's Falcon, if I remember correctly, from the Cap and you know, Avengers movies and everything, and Bamboozled, you know, with all the blackface and the craziness. And so it was like he was doing his really like just eccentric and weird, you know, personal storytelling, like super Afrocentric, awesome, but just weird in my opinion. Maybe it's because I'm white, I don't know. But and then there was the other stuff that I felt was still very well made, but yet kind of pandering to the mainstream, so to speak, and that's, you know, the, you know, stuff like Inside Man and Old Boy, which are both good movies in their own right. And so it's, I felt like really, as far as great storytelling, acting, and just the very transcendently appealing sensibility of something, despite, you know, the harshness and the real shiz that's in, you know, stuff like Crooklyn and, you know, Do the Right Thing. I felt like those were his best films, you know, even above the Malcolm X biopic with Denzel and stuff, that I felt like those 2 especially really captured his transcendental sensibilities the best. And BlackKklansman is totally like the 3rd, in my estimation, that has done that like just so splendidly. And it's interesting, this is based on true events, y'all. So in the 70s, there was a Colorado African-American police officer who, you know, joins the force and decides that he wants to, you know, after doing some investigation work, help, you know, just kind of get into the Colorado cell of the KKK, you know, and, you know, just investigate and undercover aspects, and, you know, pairs up with this, you know, Jewish, you know, fellow cop, and you know, they change details obviously for this. They speed the years up a little bit. They make it a little later in the decade and alter some things and whatnot. But I mean, the black cop who did this was, and you know, he wrote a memoir about it. He was originally never supposed to reveal anything, and then decades later he writes a memoir about it. And so that's at least what Spike and his couple of writing partners for this used as the springboard for this script. And it's definitely a dramedy at the end of the day, but this is my number 2 because I loved BlackKklansman. Loved BlackKklansman. It's so damn good. And so here on Enfuegotainment, I always cover the bueno, the malo, and the feo. So we do a little bit of good, do a little bit of bad, do a little bit of ugly, and man, the bueno is, it's just in abundance in this. I mean, I knew within the first few minutes of this movie that I was in for something interesting, because you've got Alec Baldwin. He's filming this, like, well, it's a KKK PSA. Ha! Yeah, there's enough abbreviations for you. And he's just, boy, he's railing off, but he's doing his bigotry, bull, shizzle, hatred crap that turns my stomach in, like, they don't do the finished product. They basically do, like, you see where the cuts would be, where he's messing up on his lines as he's filming this, and it's really funny, man. It's really funny. And then it goes into the film proper after you see this, and you know, this strange little clip being filmed. And you know, you've got like the film reel, like, and you know, behind them and everything, projected the projector images and sounds and everything. And when a film, you know, in its opening credits is like, this is based on some real ass shit and so on, I'm just like, okay, yeah, Spike's behind this. This is gonna be awesome. And John David Washington, son of none other than the man who played Malcolm X and was also an Inside Man, real buddy, and I would imagine close and, you know, continued collaborator with Spike, of Denzel Washington. Denzel's son, you know, he's terrific in this movie, man. He gives such a memorable and terrific performance, and it doesn't matter whether he's trying to, you know, swoon the girl at the university, who is, you know, bringing on Dr. Dre, or the kid who played the young Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton, to, you know, come and speak to the university, you know, African-American kids and whatnot. Or, I mean, it's like, he's terrific in it, man. And he's really funny too. His comedic timing, especially where he's doing, like, this and Sorry to Bother You have a lot of similarities, at least as far as the whole doing the white voice thing. And it's just like on South Park, where it's like, Token, you need to talk about white, you know, and where he's doing the weather segment and whatnot. John David Washington, he kills it in this. He's hilarious with that voice. And essentially, I just love the framing of this, with Adam Driver, none other than Kylo Ren himself, being the face who goes to infiltrate the Klan, while it's Washington who is the one on the phone, who is jumping through the hoops and doing the acrobatics of the white speech and whatnot. And it's a fascinating film. It's a funny film, and I mean, God almighty, when you get Topher Grace in there as the leader of the KKK at the time, playing a real person, obviously, who's still alive, no less. Yeah, Foreman is funny in this, man. And yet there is some very solid acting from these other members of the Colorado KKK. I guess they'd probably spell Colorado with a K instead, because they're flipping idiots. But yeah, they provide some legit menace, a couple of these guys. One in particular who is supremely distrustful of Adam Driver's character the whole time, and he's doing his own personal investigations into, oh, you know, I went to your address and some black guy lives there and blah, blah, blah. This movie is legit terrific, man, and beyond the performances, I love the score. This is something I was talking with my buddy Luis at work about, who's on the horror show with me, and various others. That's the main YouTube channel that I spend my time on besides here on Enfuegotainment. But man, both of us were just championing how great the score was, supremely memorable. It just embodies that, I don't know, some of the vibes that Quentin Tarantino tried to duplicate in stuff like Jackie Brown. I mean, it really, I hate to use a term since I'm a gringo using a term like blaxploitation or whatever, but it has like a bomb, like 70s, almost like kind of like, it's like got a little bit of funk to it. There's this just musical cue that they come back to over and over and over with these great horns and stuff, and it's like a slow, subtle, somber kind of thing, and I feel like it just epitomizes the vibe of this film so awesomely. If I'm gonna get into some MALO, I mean, there's obviously, you know, I didn't like the fact that they shot in New York and it's supposed to be Colorado, because, you know, I was dating a wonderful girl for a little while from Colorado, and you know, I got to see the terrain, you know, pretty good last year, and I was just, as I was watching this movie, I was sitting there thinking, I'm just like, man, it's not Colorado. Definitely not. Although I mean, there's some parts where it looks maybe close enough, but one in particular where, you know, Washington's character is that because he's keeping this whole thing a secret that he's this undercover officer, you know, from the girl, because it's all about, the fuzz is straight up evil, like 100%. And yeah, they're walking on this like kind of bridge type area in this forestry, and I'm just like, no, it's bad. Come on, Spike, you can't have New York double as flipping Colorado, bro. It just does not work. But really, for me, aside from there's not a lot. This is my number 2. There's very, very little bad that I can point to here. It's more so, really, I have to jump into the ugly. There's a lot of ugly in the fact that, you know, I personally thought, you know, as a child in the 80s and the 90s, especially, you know, once we got past, you know, and this is where I'm going to dance on a couple subjects, you know, especially after we got past, you know, some of the, like, riots and stuff in the early 90s and the Rodney King stuff and things of that nature. I personally felt that we as a society in, you know, the later 90s and the early 2000s and stuff really had progressed significantly as a society, as far as harmony, as far as tolerance, as far as all of these things that are so crucial to just everything functioning properly. And really, the fact that there was even that dysfunctionality in the first place is a testament to just the hideousness of the human condition in a lot of ways. And but I've seen a lot of regression. I've seen a lot of steps back, especially in the last few years. And so a film like BlackKklansman is so imperatively important topic-wise for the sheer fact that it gives us the reminders of the fact that, you know, a lot of what we are seeing today is important to keep in mind and keep fresh in our heads, because of the fact that, yeah, there is officer corruption, there is racism still, there is, you know, these terrible perspectives and mentalities that still pervade, even if we had hoped we had progressed past them. In some ways, those old ways haven't died, and in some instances, they've reared their ugly heads back and been fired back up in the current you know, political climate that we exist within. And so that's obviously ugly. But I mean, as a whole, this film is tremendous, man. I love BlackKklansman. It's one of my absolute favorite films of the year. It's in my top 3 for Spike Lee films ever. It is beyond damn good. And so yeah, I urge all of you, black, white, you know, brown, whatever the hell, man. I mean, it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what your upbringing may be, what the color of your skin may be. This is a film that really just it has a terrific message, first and foremost. It's splendidly directed by Spike. He is totally going to win Best Director for this. I'm putting my money on it right now, y'all. And yeah, it's on home release already, so definitely take the time if you get the chance before the Oscars on Sunday, February 24th, to check it out, because it is a exceptional film. It's funny, it makes you think, and yeah, it's really, really, really good. And honestly, the one last ugly I have to say is the fact that Spike does get like super real with it at the end, and he shows like actual footage, you know, news footage and things like that from some of the things that have been going down in the last few years in this country. And you know, it's all fun and games when you're, you know, poking fun at this stupid racist shit and, you know, the satire of it all and everything. But when you just have the curtain completely pulled back and you're reminded about the actuality of what is currently transpiring, and yeah, it's a film that I think is really important. It needs to be seen, seriously. So I will end on that note. I have been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, which is where you're watching me right now if you've come across this video. I am supremely appreciative of doing the like, share, subscribe thing. Hit the bell if you are a subscriber so you get notifications about everything that I am once again back to doing here on Enfuegotainment Presents. It's a pleasure. It's been a ton of fun, man. And I have a new review of Attack of the Clones Episode 2 of Star Wars. Yeah, it's not a great film, but it's not as bad as you recall. I'm doing one Star Wars film a month on the 24th. May the 24th be with you. I'm switching it up. And yes, leading up to the release of Episode 9. So Phantom Menace was the January film. This month, you've got Attack of the Clones. So check that out, as well as all of the other Oscar Best Picture reviews that I've done. I'm actually thinking I'm going to do just a few live videos maybe once I'm in Charlotte this weekend for the horror show where I cover spooktacular stuff. Man, our channel, over 25,000 subscribers, 2, sometimes 3 episodes a day. Reviews, trailers, convention coverage, all kinds of dope stuff. We're going to be in Charlotte this weekend, and yes, I'm thinking I'm going to try to do just a couple sound offs about the animated films and all of the different big category races for the Oscars. Should be a ton of fun. So I thank you once very much. Thank you, Sai. Say thank you for tuning into this video. A grande gracias, as I all too often say on here. And until the film reel of Ka comes around once more, I say hasta luego, cinemigos. But I'm hopeful that we get to share more palaver about all things creative sooner rather than later. And until then, peace out, y'all.